All right, the 140,000 Mark VI. Let's talk about this, shall we? So, if I want to do this right, I'm doing this off the cuff. I don't have an outline. I don't have a bunch of notes and stuff that I'm going to go by. I'm not doing a review. This is not a reaction channel. This is not a rating system. But what I can do is just tell you my overall feelings about this horn, having it for 5 days. So I think the simplest way to do this is do it on like a pros and cons type of situation. You know what I mean? So pros, and I'm probably going to sprinkle a little bit B-roll footage here and there. The pros of the 140,000, I would say, obviously, is the look of the thing. I mean, we can be honest. It is a beautiful instrument. Whoever owned it took very good care of it. I'm not sure if they were an actual player. Could have been a weekend warrior. Could have been a collector. Could have been somebody's dad owned it. Could have been a high school instrument. Who knows? But what is certain that it was taken very good care of. The key work on it is very tight, very new feeling. The rods on it are very strong still. When you pick it up, like it feels solid. It feels like it has not been handled poorly. Like the rods don't even really bend. They don't really give when you squeeze on it in this area. You know, it is in very good condition. The pearls have little wear on them. It's almost like this horn hasn't seen many days of playing. It still has the original pads in it. I can't necessarily say that's a pro. That's more on the con side. Still have the original pads in it, and I believe that these pads have metal resonators. Yep, the Selmer metal resonators. What else is a pro? Some of the most beautiful lacquer I've ever seen in person on the instrument. This is pure, beautiful craftsmanship by Selmer Paris back in the day. This dark honey lacquer that everybody kind of loves when they look at a lacquer horn. I don't know why they changed to that bright yellow gold from the Super Action. Well, maybe the later Mark VI's going through the series, Super Action 80 to the Super Action 80 Series 2, Series 3. They were using that lacquer. I think they kind of went back to something similar to it during the reference 54. So those are the pros when it comes to physical. Now let's talk about playing pros. Playing pros, I would say it sings. There's an obvious singing quality to this instrument where when you play in the middle to upper register, the horn sings. It resonates in those registers, especially up here in the palm keys. I can even tell from my little demo in the video, part one, when I picked this horn up, something made me immediately want to play in the middle and upper register of the horn. As soon as I started there, I kind of just went up and I was just staying around that area. That's something that we're going to get into later. But yeah, very much so a singing quality. It is still dark. It is not really edgy, I wouldn't say. It's still a dark instrument, but that could be me because of my own sound and the sound that I go for is a kind of very much middle of the road kind of sound that has darkness, has brightness, has these things. This instrument, I wouldn't call it a bright instrument, but it is. I may say it's a little bit brighter than my silver horn. That's something else I'm going to try not to do. I'm going to try to not compare it to the 121 or my horn. I'm going to try to not make references. I'm trying to keep it about this. I will do some comparisons, talking points in later videos. Okay, so what else would be a pro as far as playing goes? It is very consistent throughout the range of the instrument, almost kind of like a Yamaha where it feels the same no matter which area of the range you're in. That could be a pro for some people, it can be a con for some people. For me, it is more of a passive feeling and slightly a con. Other than those things, I think those are all the pros. Now let's talk about some of the cons. Now, some of the cons dealing with this instrument here is going back to physically. Obviously, the pads on it need to be. This needs an overhaul as far as pads go. There are a few busted pads in here, and these are the original, for the most part, the original Selmer pads. So some of them are worn, some of them look like they're busted. So that physically negative. There's maybe like one or two spots where the lacquer is chipped off. Physically negative. The action is too tight for my liking. Too tight. Um, this is a common thing with people not really liking new horns that much, or very, let me say, advanced players that's been playing a while. The horn feels stiff. Like, it feels like if I own this horn, the first thing I would want to happen is all the keys to come off and the springs to be adjusted because they're too stiff. The action that I'm used to a looser action. So this horn seems to be doing more work than my hands are doing. And that makes me trip up when I'm trying to run certain passages. Like, I feel like I have to press harder on the keys, and the keys pop up like quicker than what I'm used to. Like, when I'm moving, playing scales and stuff, I constantly feel the keys kicking back up, and as well as them being a little bit more hard to push down. That is two negatives in one. So I can't be as technical, I feel, with this instrument. I can be technical, but not as accurately technical with this instrument. What else? Con, physically. It's kind of hard to say anything else physically about it being a con because it's in such great condition. Cons with sound. The sound profile on this horn is a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to. You could tell by the intro, sound of me playing it, I am pushing it towards the lower end of the spectrum as far as color goes. And my sound does that anyway because it's just the nature of what I hear and who I listen to and what I develop. I have a more warmer type of tone. So when I'm playing this instrument, I'm trying to hear in that area, even though this instrument is a little bit, it doesn't have as much of the lower mellowness, is that a word? It doesn't have the lower mellow type of tone that I'm used to hearing when I'm playing my silver instrument. um there's a bit of a more dryness in the tone, but it's still lush. But there's a color. There's like a feeling of dry air in certain aspects. It can be pushed to have more of a ping to the sound if you're not careful, or if you're being too aggressive. I do feel that this horn, for some reason, takes a lot of, not a lot. It takes more air than what I'm used to, and I use a lot of air, but it feels like the amount of air that this takes versus what it's giving back doesn't match from what I'm used to. I'm used to pushing, and when I push a certain amount of air, the horn gives me a certain amount of response. This horn seems like it takes that much air, but the response that it gives back ain't the same, which is very strange. Cons as far as playing. The action I already talked about, that trips me up all the time. And the amount of air that it takes versus what it gives me back, I'm not used to. Um, yeah, I don't feel that I can get loose with this instrument, partly because it's so tight. It feels square. It feels like it sat in the closet. It feels like it hasn't seen many days, many hours being played. It feels like it needs to come apart and be fully adjusted before it can be even done like some serious playing by a serious player. Um, it is a good instrument. I mean, it's a great instrument. If I would have to say, like again, if I had this horn, it would need an overhaul, and all the springs would need to be adjusted for it to loosen up. If it did loosened up, I'm sure it'd be amazing. If it had overhaul done with newer pads and stuff, it'd probably be. I'm not sure if that's going to correct that lower end of the spectrum I'm talking about. If you looked at part one, a lot of people said in the comments they could hear on. I said I wasn't going to compare. We're gonna save that. We're gonna say that. That's some stuff we're gonna say. But there seems to be some layers that this horn it has, but not as much as what I'm used to. Could I compromise and deal with that? Or could maybe an overhaul or a setup fix that? Maybe. I don't know. That's a lot of money you talking about spending extra for a result that you don't know that's may come. So overall, this horn is very nice, very beautiful, but it does lack in some areas that I would like it not to. So I'm not gonna talk too negatively about it. I'm not gonna talk too positively about it. I'm gonna keep it real, and that's me keeping it real. Like, do I feel that this horn I would love to take it on a gig? No, not right now, because the way it feels, and the way and the response it has, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Is it? I mean, it's super swag to open your case and say, "Looky here," it's super swag to do that. But yeah, those are my thoughts about this 140,000. So stay tuned. I will be at the time you're watching this video. I'm probably already playing the 121. I probably am already thinking about the video I'm going to make about the 121 by the time you see this video. That's already probably happened. But I appreciate y'all for watching. Let me know what you think. I think that I still sound mostly like myself, regardless of what I'm playing. But the horn does make me play in a more specific way because of what it's doing when I approach it. So, but yeah, appreciate y'all. Just wanted to drop another one before I take this one back and pick up the other one. All right, peace.